Hello, back here with Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair, where we just started this trial. We got 2 solves deep-ish, and I just had some notes I wanted to rapid-fire get through before we carried on into it. Number one, it occurred to me that Nagito, I don't think anyone actually mentioned to him at any point that Kazuichi's the one who went first to the beach house, right? So I guess that's just another clue that somehow he's roped into all this and has, like, access to the surveillance footage, because I don't think anyone mentioned that Kazuichi showed up first when the body chime happened. So the fact that he was all like, oh, I see, it doesn't include the killer this time, that's interesting, would only be interesting if he didn't know, or if he did know that Hajime and Kazuichi didn't get there at the same time, which he, as far as I know, had no way of knowing. I suppose that suggests that he somehow has access to Monokuma's surveillance footage or something. I don't believe anyone mentioned it to him. I might be wrong, maybe there's some line where someone did say it to him, but I don't think so. Also, I had a question. Was it the same way in Danganronpa 1 that there could only ever be one killer at a time? I assume not, because Junko was a killer since the first case, which would mean that there were very frequently 2 killers at once, which is against the rules. So I guess that rule wasn't a thing in Danganronpa. I'm trying to remember how it worked in Trial 3. I thought it was okay in Trial 3 because there weren't ever 2 killers extant at once because Celeste kills Hifumi, turning her into the killer as she removes him. Although he doesn't actually die. Well, no, but then just by that logic, she isn't actually a killer at that point. Anyway, I don't think that was a rule in Danganronpa 1. Because if it was, then there were regularly times where there were 2 killers at once. The rule about there being only 1 killer allowed to be alive at a time. Oh yeah, so if we assume that Junko and Mukuro are the ones who kicked off the stuff going on at Hope's Peak in Danganronpa 1, in that room with all the chalk outlines and everything, which I still don't really get, because they're like, that started the biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history? Or at least, like, it coincided with the start, like Mukuro and Junko were like, go, 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 people around the world, and then started killing people in the school. But there were chalk outlines as though a police had showed up at the scene and done that. But as far as we knew, the second the big awful thing happened, the headmaster was all like, all right, everyone into the bunker. Or so I thought. It's not like everyone went home and then casually went to school the next day and then locked themselves in the bunker, right? Regardless, if it wasn't that Junko and Mukuro launched that, it makes it sound like from this game that we're saying that Junko and Mukuro were part of the reserve students, which I guess would make everyone in Danganronpa 1 the class of reserve students. Again, they're being, like, intentionally vague with all this, like, giving little breadcrumbs that don't give a full picture just yet, so I'm just left to my guesses, but that's what it sounds like they're saying, is that the class of Danganronpa 1 is, which 7-6 or whatever they called it. Class 72? What? 80? What the hell was it called? Whatever. That was the reserve students, whatever that means. If we're assuming that Junko and Mukuro are the ones who launched the attack, because that's kind of what they implied. So if I'm right that Mikon did kill Ibuki and Hyoko, or, orchestrated that whole situation, that's a weird coincidence since they are the 3 that appeared in the photograph in the prior chapter. Well, I say weird coincidence. What I'm getting at is I don't think it's a coincidence, but I don't understand why, as a killer, she would have any incentive to pick those 2 yet. If indeed I'm right that it's Mikon. Right, so when, Akane was fighting Monokuma, Nekomaru was all like, whoa, well, Akane is one of the fastest athletes I've ever seen, so I'm kind of surprised Monokuma was able to outspeed her. I took that as a clue that they're trying to suggest Monokuma's powers are beyond mortal comprehension, right? In a sense that, like, I took it as another hint that maybe we're in some kind of simulation here, because of all the computery stuff at the beginning of the game also seems to suggest that. But if that is true, there's no way that he could program himself to be faster than light, but also suck at shooting enough to miss Akane and hit Nekomaru. If he writes the rules of physics in the entire world at any given second, that wasn't an accident, basically. And if it wasn't an accident, I don't know why he did it. Because there's no way he's able to manipulate the very fabric of reality to make himself faster than everyone he wants to be at any given time, but suck at shooting enough to miss the person he was aiming for. I don't care if he's stepped in the way of the shot. If he's a magic bear, he's a magic bear. So what his thought process was in doing that, I'm not sure. Oh yeah, and again, if I'm right, this is all Mikon's plan somehow, then I suppose that means she was planning this since everyone caught the despair disease, and that's why she had Hajime touch everyone's forehead, so that he would have to go to the hospital and she could use him as a alibi or something. Because she does then confide her alibi and say, you and I were together, right, Hajime? And also going back to Danganronpa 1, the body discovery chime happens when a student murders a student, right? So that's what happened when Junko murdered Mukuro. So I don't know why there was no discovery chime then, because we were all there. And also, if it only happens when a student murders another student, I don't know why everyone was all like, we're gonna hear a body discovery chime when Nagito dies of illness. I guess maybe they're just saying they didn't know that rule? But I thought that was kind of the whole point of that rule. Anyway, just a lot of little things came to mind between the last time I recorded this and now. Now enough of that shenaniganery. Let's carry on. There's a possibility the door was locked from the outside, because we're talking about the paste, right? Weird green goop. All right, and there were 2 step ladders, right? So the one that's got blood on it may not be the same one that we saw in the video. I suppose.
From the outside? How?
There was a semi-transparent glob stuck to the venue door. Maybe that's what they used.
Semi-transparent glob? Like rubber, maybe?
It wasn't rubber at all. That semi-transparent glob was probably some kind of glue, I
I
guess.
see!
That's activated by heat.
That semi-transparent glob must have been glue.
Like it was cold enough that it was solid when they put it there, but I don't know. Or the heat was used to something.
Yeah, I think so too. It had a firm,
tasted like it.
chewiness, and I could smell workshop chemicals the moment I put it in my mouth. Based on all that, I'm certain it was glue.
I didn't know glue was edible.
I believe it is not something one typically eats.
Unless you're Chiaki.
That glue was only applied to the areas where both doors touched. By pouring it in the gaps of the closed door, they must have sealed the venue door from the outside.
And just
And
snapped
thanks
the
to
drumsticks to make it
A
look like.
glob of glue was left where the
that was
door was
used.
stuck. Yep, it fits perfectly. But if you just stick them together with glue, you'd be able to break down the door easily, you know? That doesn't really matter. The killer only did that to make us think the door was locked from the inside.
What'd you say?
First of all, didn't that drumstick we found seem really obvious? Almost unnaturally so?
Some might say a bunch of green paste on the inside of a door seems unnaturally obvious, actually, but point taken.
It was so obvious that it makes more sense to think the killer placed it as a diversion.
Are you saying the drumstick was a trap the killer set on purpose?
Yes.
Then
There you
I-
go. That's literally what she said.
I totally fell for that fucking trap.
So did we all.
Apologize to Miss Sonia and me. However, you're not allowed to slice open your stomach this time.
In a quarrel, both sides are to blame. That's why it's better to just have no sides at all.
It's an interesting take.
During the
Why did the
10
screen get all
minutes
gloomy
Hajime
there?
left the venue, the killer
Weird
murdered
visual
Hiyoko and created a closed space.
And they also taped her up after killing her, right?
Even quick work has limits.
Oh, what unimaginable speed for a slowpoke like me.
I'm sure.
If they couldn't have done it while Hajime was away from the venue, they must have done it earlier than that.
Earlier?
Or when Hajime got to the venue, only Ibuki's body was there, right?
Well, I don't know if the bullets really illustrate this well, but the black, like, wallpaper stuff that was there. So the thing that this is a scrap of. Do I seriously not have the full thing? That's tedious. Either way, you can kind of see it in this picture on the far right of it. It's like that with all the stickers on it. I believe that's the same kind of, like, stuff. So it kind of makes it sound like they replaced the wallpaper for some reason in the middle of that somehow. So maybe that had to do with how they hid the body on stage without me noticing it or something.
And when you went back with everyone else, Hiyoko's body was there too, right? But it's possible that the body was just revealed at that time, when Hiyoko was actually killed earlier.
True.
Just revealed?
Of course, the body wasn't revealed on its own. The killer did that too. Here, I have proof.
We found that also. That's fun.
Is that what we found in the baton lighting at the music venue?
Wait, that's weird. Isn't it normally that Hajime, like, takes the stuff that we are examining? Because otherwise, if he said, here, look at this thing I found, no one would believe him if he was just explaining it to them what he found. So, doesn't Hajime have this? Why does Nagito have it?
That's right, but just what
I guess
is
he just
this
found another scrap.
anyway?
That scrap that was stuck on the baton lighting in the music venue. Now I should be able to figure out what it is. Oh no. It's a Hangman's Gambit. Curtaining? Nope. What was the ripped piece of paper that was stuck to the baton lighting? It was, ow. Sorry, I was not looking the right spot. It was, well, that's easy. That's, do I even know any words with that many letters? Am I allowed to check my bullets? Oh yeah, I'm not. Cool. Hang on. That's, Cursor's special move? What does that mean? WALLPAP. Wallpaper. Okay, there we go. That is. Found it. That's what I thought it was, but, like, I wasn't able to count the letters. while I was doing all this. Ooh, I'm sorry. I need A. Let's just hope I have enough time now after all that. Oh, there we go. Cool. WA. Wallpaper is what I imagined it to be, but it was hard to sort of... Oh, sorry, I don't need the question on screen right now. Hard to sort of... Oh, I didn't actually land that last L, sorry. It was hard to count the letters while I was doing this. Anyway. What am I looking for now? A, right. Oh my god, they're speeding up. Interesting how that happens. Need another P. Doink. And boink. And give me an R. No, hey, get away from you. What do you think you're doing? Can I have an R, please? Thank you.
I got it.
Cool. I thought...
Isn't it part of the
Anyway.
wallpaper in the storage room?
I didn't realize that was a solve. I thought that was what they said when we first found it. This is the
music
image
in
I was trying to
storage
find for you
room.
earlier.
It should have been black wallpaper that's the same color as that scrap. There was also a tear along the edge of the wallpaper, wasn't there? If so...
It's completely different in this picture from the picture in the middle, but yeah.
Right. If you overlay the scrap that was caught on the lighting with the tear in the wallpaper, see? It fits perfectly.
So it's like they changed the wallpaper at some point to obfuscate the time of the murder, like maybe it had a blood stain or something.
Was originally part of the wallpaper. And what's wrong with that? Does it have something to do with Hyoko's body disappearance?
Probably. I was thinking maybe like her body was hung up there, but they just pasted paper around it so that I couldn't tell at the time, but there was no lump.
A mere
that would
nobody like me
like that.
isn't important enough to answer that. But if you guys were exceptional enough to identify that scrap of paper, you can figure this out easily.
That scrap of paper stuck to the baton lighting was part of that wallpaper I found in the storage room. Is it connected to the sudden appearance of Hyoko's body? If I trace it back from there, the answer should become clear. We're either gonna have a debate here or a snowboarding. What do you think it is? Alright, let's give this a try. It's a debate. Nope, never mind, it's snowboarding? Logic dive, okay. I don't understand how it exactly it comes together yet, though. Alright, zoom zoom, let's do this. What's break again? That, and jump is that, cool. Whee! Wow, these obstacles just don't move, huh? Whee! Cool. I mean, I assume hitting them does like very little to your health anyway, yeah. So it's like barely matters. It slightly loses you a bit of time, I guess. Whee! But it seemed like you had enough time even if you got every question wrong. Why did Hyoko's body suddenly appear at the scene of the crime? It was hidden. Okay. I doubt it was brought there. That seems like we're trying to imply that it would have been hard to do with the time they had. So are we just saying it was hung in the same place, but we didn't notice because of the wallpaper? It didn't create any kind of visible lump? That's a little hard to believe if so, but if that's what they're gonna get at, then I suppose we have no choice. It's once again just a 3-question one. Question 2, what did the killer use to hide her body? The wallpaper, okay. I'm pretty sure. Right? I don't see why it couldn't have been the curtain, but the wallpaper is what they're trying to imply, regardless. Very clearly, so. Yo-ho, yo-ho. Boing! And boing! And boing. I'm pressing buttons. Question, how did the killer hide her body with the wallpaper? They formed a wall, they covered the pillar. I guess they covered the... I don't actually understand what either of these words mean, so who cares? I usually get the third one wrong anyway. Let's say they covered the pillar. That was right. So they're saying they just... That's what they're saying, is they just wrapped it around her and it didn't create like a lump of any kind? Because I thought about that earlier and then I was like, there's no way you wouldn't notice a body protruding. But I think that's what they're trying to suggest is when Hajime got there, they had just wrapped a few more layers of that wallpaper around her body hung up there to make it look like she wasn't there. Somehow. That sounds like it would have been pretty difficult to do in that small time frame as well. It's not a small pillar, it's like 15 feet, right? So to get a roll of wallpaper 15 feet, wrap it around a thing that's got baton lighting in between it, around a corpse that's strung to the wall with tape, and get that wallpaper secured, and then when Hajime leaves, tear it all back down.
It's all coming together.
It's pretty unlikely. But I guess that's their explanation for why there was a shred left behind. They were in a hurry or whatever.
Got it. Hyoko's body was hidden before we found it.
But it would have taken quite a long time to tape up a hidden body.
No, the body was already taped up and the killer hid it, along with the pillar using
What do
the
you mean,
wall.
tape up a hidden body? What? Gundam, what you just said makes no sense. He's saying it was hidden before we found it. He's not saying they hid it and then with telekinesis taped them up while we were there. So if it was hidden before we found it, it was taped up before we found it. That's the only way that what he said. Anyway.
They hid the pillar?
Yeah, by wrapping the wallpaper around the pillar, the killer was able to create a slightly larger pillar.
And this was faster?
So when I first discovered Ibuki's body, Hyoko's body was already there. However, because it was concealed within a slightly larger pillar, I didn't realize that at the time.
I will say, the thought did cross my mind that that was what happened, but then I was like, how? So I quickly put it out of mind. I didn't really think that was what was going to be it.
Well, that's understandable. I mean, it makes sense that you'd notice Ibuki's body right away.
But you really think it would be faster to wallpaper up an entire pillar to enough thickness that there's no body lump than to pick up Hyoko's body and tape it there?
So they used the baton lighting on the ceiling to hang the wallpaper?
The baton lighting forms a perfect circle around the pillar. So using it to hang the wallpaper totally fits.
How? What? How would you get it in there? One person by themselves? I guess it mustn't have been. It must have been Ibuki and the killer. Because how that? Again, it's like 20 feet of like straight up with like a very thin margin for error in that. What do you mean you hung it from the baton lighting? Also, all right, I bought it until they started explaining how they did it. I bought that. I mean, sort of. That's confusing. Like, I get that's obviously what they were trying to push me toward, but like, how? How do you wrap a pillar in wallpaper and hang it from lighting without touching? Because it's not even touching the lighting. What do you mean you're hanging it from the lighting? What? What is this?
Then, the reason the wallpaper was covered in so many stickers was to make it look like that pillar.
Well, the other
That's
pillar
how
had the
they
same
hid
amount.
Hyoko's body, and then peeled off the wallpaper as soon as I left the music venue.
But the killer made a mistake. They accidentally ripped off a piece of the wallpaper. And because of that, a scrap was left on the baton lighting.
The killer must have been in a hurry. Their plan took too long.
This is their
Hajime
explanation for why the
could've
scrap
walked
was
in on
there.
it.
I got that, but it's such a really difficult thing to do.
And the pillar is very cold and risky.
It is.
Crime itself would be much easier to pull off since they don't have much to do while Hajime's gone. They just have to peel off that wallpaper and stash it in the storage room. It's not that big of a deal.
It sounds really hard to do.
When was Hyoko actually killed?
Good point. And on that note, it's about time we shed some light on those imitation murders.
Yes, please, because I don't understand how they work with
You
the
mentioned
movie, really.
imitation murder more than once. But what is that?
Are you kidding me? You haven't seen my masterpiece? The Wizard of Monami 2.5D?
Hey, don't put my likeness in your movies without my permission.
You're pretty noisy for someone who eats mothballs.
That is not what the subtitles
I
say.
don't eat mothballs. I just enjoy looking at them.
I knew it. There are so many similarities. It must have been intentional.
Ibuki's death by hanging matches the Scarecrow's death from the movie. Not just that, but Hyoko getting taped up after her death matches the lion's death.
I guess the lion, after getting shot with like a million arrows or whatever it was, got suspended somewhere, and I just don't remember.
It's as if both crimes were replicas of scenes from the movie, although the mutilated Tin Man was omitted.
But why did the killer go to all this trouble in the first place?
Based on what we know, the reason the killer chose these imitations isn't that difficult to figure out.
Isn't? The reason the killer imitated the two victims in that movie. I should be able to explain that now, because they like movies to hide the weapon, let their accomplice escape to mix up the killing, or I guess that.
See,
I mean, I didn't
The reason
sort
the
of think
killer
that.
imitated two of the murders
Anyway.
from the movie was so he'd mix up the killing order.
Then Hyoko was actually killed before Ibuki?
A valid line of reasoning.
Yeah, it's valid. The condition of Ibuki's body suggests that as well.
The blood on our
What do
souls.
you mean?
Hajime, you
If
take
you're
this
going
one.
to cry and beg like that, then I guess I'll hear about the condition of Ibuki's body.
I'm not even crying.
I'll let you sob as much as you want later. Just hurry up and tell me before I change my mind.
Why's Gundam freaking out now?
Jerk!
Oh, I see. You want me to explain it to you, right? Because you don't understand what I'm
Relax.
saying, right?
You need to keep a calm
You
head.
Jerk? Impossible!
Look, Ibuki died because she hanged herself, right? That means when she was still alive, her feet were touching the floor.
What's wrong with that?
But it seems Ibuki was still standing when Hiyoko was killed. That would mean Hiyoko was killed before Ibuki.
Don't you think, Hajime?
How right.
I'm just waiting
Words
for
are
it.
so light as the sylph's feather. Your opponent is out of your league. It is too absurd to try to perplex me so inadequately.
Man, he's being annoying again.
No,
First and
that doesn't
foremost,
happen in this game.
You claim Ibuki's feet were touching the floor when Hiyoko was killed. How can
Here comes
a
that word
low-class
count again.
creature with no psychic abilities like you know something like that?
Because she was doing something that's only possible if her feet were on the floor.
It seems you suffer from a pathetic delusion.
You're one to talk.
Anyway, if this continues, we're just gonna talk in circles. I think it's best if we clarify Ibuki's status when Hiyoko was killed. So either using the blood stain that she was wiping it up, or the footprints to show that she was walking in the blood. I guess probably that one makes more sense. Right.
When Hiyoko died,
Uh-huh.
Ibuki's feet were on the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's not an agree point.
I am telling you to present your evidence.
No, I may as well just get my health back to full here.
Did you see her walking?
If her feet were on the floor, was there any sign she stepped on something?
Yes. Kablooey. I agree with that. I almost did that on Chiaki's, even though that was a disagree point because I forgot that was a thing for a bit.
Just as Sonia said, Ibuki stepped on something. That something was blood. There were faint blood stains on the soles of her slippers.
That is not Ibuki's blood, right? She suffered no external injuries.
Then it's Hiyoko's blood.
Hiyoko's only wound was a fatal slice on her neck. And she died almost instantly, right?
If Ibuki stepped on her blood,
It means Ibuki was still standing when Hiyoko was mortally wounded. Which means Ibuki was still alive at the exact moment Hiyoko was killed.
Don't underestimate the power of the evil
Oh boy,
eye.
rebuttal showdown coming. I don't know why
Is
Gundam's being
that
such a problem
it?
boy, though.
A shepherd dressed in his Sunday's finest still reeks of lamb, Hajime Hinata.
Usually when it's like that, that person has something to do with the murder. Well, I guess not always. Mahiru was being kind of weird and confrontational in the first murder for some reason.
Does that mean you have a rebuttal?
Does that mean you have a rebuttal? That's a good line. But are you sure you're sure? If I show you how serious I am, this world might be destroyed, you know.
By the way, I think I've worked out how the extra damage hidden system works on the rebuttal showdown. Fortunately, it shouldn't be as tough anyway because we got the extra sword. But it seems to be if there are two different directions, one of them is A and the other one's B. If you do A, is what makes you get the super damage. Basically, you do one direction in a row for a bit and then change direction, and the changing direction one has extra damage. What I was doing wrong, I mean, obviously I had no way to know it was wrong, was that I was just trying to do whichever one I thought would make it easiest to strike the words, because that's what they were kind of suggesting I should do. So I was usually mostly just doing down, because a lot of them came across the screen, like, sideways. But they want you to be changing directions arbitrarily, basically, just for extra damage.
You're so frightened you can't even make a sound. It seems you've realized our difference in status. However, the time for conviction starts now. You better entertain me to the fullest.
All right. I don't know what we're arguing about yet, but please. Rope grease for hanging, motel room keys, scrap of thick paper, stepladder, candles, smudge on the floor. I guess we're gonna say, wasn't there any blood on the floor? He's gonna be like, there was no blood on the floor, so obviously she didn't walk anywhere.
Ibuki's feet belong to Hiyoko? Ha! Impossible! Try to remember the crime scene. There was no blood on the floor.
Cool.
Allow me to cut through those words.
I'm glad I was. It's always a good day when you're able to guess which sword they want to use before they even start talking.
Because the killer wiped it away afterward.
Don't say such foolish things. You don't have proof of that at all.
Yes, I do. If you look closely, There's a streak on the floor where blood was wiped away.
You can't see it now because I didn't take a picture of it and we're not there, but if you look closely...
When the killer tried to hide Hyoko's body, they probably cleaned the blood at the same time, but Ibuki must have already stepped in it, and the killer probably didn't even realize it.
The reason they wiped off the blood on the floor was so we'd mix up the order of the murders, right?
Sounds that way.
Even if they're able to hide Hyoko's body, it'd be bad if her blood was left out in the open.
Plus, Ibuki's body was left out in the open, and it wasn't bleeding from any open wounds at all.
Hyoko's body was probably wrapped in duct tape to stop her bleeding. Actually, the bleeding will stop once the heart stops beating. So I don't think they had to go that far.
Aside from Mikon, none of us were aware of that fact. So the killer probably did not know it either.
Maybe the heater was running inside the music venue so it would screw with Mikon's autopsy?
That's right! I didn't know the time of death because of the heater!
Wait, sorry. I agree that that's why that was done. What does that have to do with what everyone else just said? Oh, okay. He's still just we're arguing on the point that we're trying to continue arguing the point that the time of the death was obfuscated because Gundam still seemed to have doubt. Okay, I think that's just why Kazuichi brought that up.
If the time of death wasn't mentioned in the Monokuma file just to keep concrete evidence from us.
Yep. Since we have all this evidence, there's no one else who wants to object, right? Then it's decided. Hyoko was killed before Ibuki.
It appears that it is wiser to retreat for now.
Okay.
Fine.
Thanks, Gundam.
But regardless of good or evil, there's no deceit in upholding one's conviction.
No, I'm glad you tried to, get to the heart of it all. There was a nicer way to do
Can't
it.
you just shut up and back off?
Now then, let us resume our debate.
Wait a sec. There's something I want to run by Monokuma first.
Let's hear it.
Huh? Again? Didn't something like this happen last time, too?
Yeah, and it was of fairly vital importance.
Hey, if the victim actually committed suicide, what are we supposed to do?
Well, Hyoko didn't. I think we're rather convinced of that. Suicide?
The same as always. You have to vote for who the killer is.
Which would be herself in that
Think
case.
about it. A suicide means you've killed the most important existence of all, yourself.
Spoken like a true egomaniac.
Unfortunately, that means there's no Blacken to punish, but I guess in a pinch, I can always punish Monami.
Why me?
Nagito? What do you mean? If the victim actually committed suicide?
He doesn't think that's what happened.
I mean, I understand Hyoko's death, but I'm wondering if Ibuki was really murdered. For example, it's possible Ibuki killed Hyoko and then committed suicide due to a guilty conscience, right?
Yes, but unlikely.
That's totally impossible.
With all the other stuff.
Then she never would have killed her to begin with.
And wouldn't have done all the other stuff to obfuscate everything and put the glue on the door. It seems pretty unlikely.
She was afflicted by the despair disease, remember? That means anything can happen.
I thought I thought Game was trying to get us across to us that it only does one particular thing to your personality. And also that generally that thing is the inverse of whatever you are normally.
But if Ibuki's the killer, she wouldn't have been able to falsify the sequence of the murders, right?
I agree.
After Hajime saw the hanged body, the sudden appearance of Hyoko's body soon after means
Someone else was doing
the
that.
killer had to be alive at that time.
Then she was alive. When Hajime first discovered Ibuki, she was just pretending to be dead.
You think?
If she waited until Hajime left, that's when she could have made her move and mess with the crime scene.
I mean, it seems like it would be pretty hard to do. I mean, I guess if you lowered yourself into it, you wouldn't instantly die. But it's a lot of faith to have in your ability to time that such that you survive that. But also, if that's your argument, then why would... I thought you were just saying that the whole reason of hanging herself was a guilty conscience. But if she was still planning to obfuscate the crime scene...
She hanged herself, remember? There's no fucking way she could have faked that.
And if she was going to fake her death, I think she wouldn't have chosen hanging. Her body would have been defenseless in that state. If anyone touched her, that alone would have ruined her plan.
I see. So that means there's no doubt that someone killed those two.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm glad. Now I'm free to search for the killer.
What the heck?
There's still one more issue
We're all
on
still
my
surprised
mind.
by him.
If Ibuki didn't commit suicide, then just what was that video Hajime saw?
Some misleading balderdash, probably.
According to that video you saw, Ibuki was by herself when she climbed the stepladder, right?
Well, we think it was Ibuki, but the long black hair was not visible outside of the bag, which was when Ibuki was hanged. And also the video cuts off before we see what happens, so it doesn't tell us a lot, actually. in some ways.
Then does that mean someone forced her to do it?
And from what we can see on the stepladder here, there's no blood on the left side like we thought there should be. There's weirdness all around.
Perhaps they used hypnotism or something?
I don't know anything about that.
Well, if Ibuki was, like, super gullible at that time, like, by magic, all they would have to do is tell her that there was, like, candy at the top of the stepladder or whatever.
Don't say it all proud.
Putting that aside, it seems obvious that the killer did something. So, maybe we should figure out who was able to do whatever that was.
So, an alibi. Then our plan is to destroy the weakest alibi.
Right, so she brings that up, I presume, because she thinks she has a strong alibi with what she said to Hajime.
Since Hajime has seen the video, it is clear what time the crime took place.
But just to be sure, that surveillance camera doesn't have a record function, right?
Thank you for asking that.
Cheap-ass surveillance camera, you know? There's no way it'd have some kind of sweet recording feature.
I suppose there's no reason you couldn't play a recorded video on the other side of the camera, but I don't think that's what happened.
Then the video Hajime saw was actually live?
What time did Hajime see that video?
So there's an argument that what that video actually shows is the killer pretending to go, like, they'd already done the thing with Ibuki and Hiyoko a long time ago, perhaps sometime in the night. And what that video actually shows is the killer with a sack on their head, because there were two, climbing the stepladder just to alarm Hajime into going to check out the crime scene. And then the killer tore off at that point.
I saw it at the hospital, right before Monokuma's morning announcement. And I saw the body at the music venue a little after Monokuma's announcement.
So Ibuki hanged herself right before Monokuma's announcement.
Not
And
convinced.
since we established that Hiyoko was killed before Ibuki, that means the time that the murders occurred was before and during the announcement.
Hold on. Sorry. What? I saw it at the hospital right before Monokuma's morning announcement, and I saw the body at the music venue a little after Monokuma's announcement. Since we established that Hiyoko was killed before Ibuki, it means one murder was before and the other was during the announcement? I think he's just trying to say Hiyoko was killed before the announcement, and since Hajime saw the video right before the announcement, and then the body right after, we're just sort of assuming that's when Ibuki hanged herself, but I would have characterized it as they both came before the announcement, but I see what you're saying, I think. It's just a weird way to say it.
Then we just have to find the person who doesn't have an alibi during that time?
And conveniently, when was your alibi, Mikon? Right up until the Monokuma announcement that morning. Okay, so I'm basically almost like 98% certain it was Mikon now. There's no reason she would bring all that up in that specific order when she's the only one with an alibi that's like, I was there right up till the Monokuma announcement with Hajime. I probably should have known like beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was her. Basically, since we ran to the hospital for the very first time, I had my suspicions, but now I'm like, again, 98% certain.
Now then, I shall issue my decree. Let Operation Destroy the Weakest Alibi commence.
There was another alibi we heard. Was it Fuyuhiko's? Not sure. Anyway, let's hear what they say. On the debate? So it is. I have no idea where this is headed. Nikon's account, surveillance monitor video, Fuyuhiko's account. Oh, I don't remember what Fuyuhiko's account was. Let me just look at it real quick. Sorry, I was looking for it, but I somehow missed it. There you are. After you met with Mikon in front of the hospital, they split up to search for Ibuki. They checked the movie theater and Electric Avenue, but didn't find anyone. Apparently, they were only separated for a short time, which is apparently shortly after Hajime left to go do all the stuff, and then Mikon realized Ibuki was missing and went for her. Anyway, sorry, we can exclude the sick people like me and Akane, right?
And what about the others?
Right before the morning announcement, I was totally sleeping in my motel room.
I don't think I can disprove Kazuichi was sleeping.
Everyone at the motel was doing that.
So everyone who stayed at the motel doesn't have an alibi.
Maybe
What
Sony
about
is
you
what I want.
guys? I was where I was supposed to be, my own cottage.
That's not an alibi.
I guess I can disagree with that using his own account? Or Mikon's? Oh no, sorry, was that Blue? I know, yeah, I can't agree that you were in your cottage. Sorry, okay, carry on. That's not an alibi.
Aside from those afflicted by the disease, if nobody has an alibi, then Operation Destroy the Weakest Alibi has failed.
Okay, sorry, nobody has an alibi is obviously what I'm supposed to disprove, but I don't understand what she just said. If, aside from those parentheses, if nobody has an alibi, as far as I know, Fi, Hiko, Mikon, and Sonia all have alibis, right? I mean, maybe I'm misunderstanding what they mean by alibi. I mean, none of it is proof, it's all just what we said happened. But according to all... Anyway, I think I'm just gonna try Mikon's account, Fi, Hiko's account, and Sonia's account all on what the last thing she just said there, because I have no idea which one it is.
By then.
Not that.
Alibi then.
This is one of those things where I don't understand what it's saying, so it makes a lot more sense to just bum rush it with all
exclude the
these.
sick people like me and Akane, right?
Rather than wasting my timer out thinking about it. Okay, good. It was Mikon, so I was supposed to put. I don't know what I'm saying though. I just knew it was one of the accounts.
Hold on. Not all of us are missing an alibi. In fact, Mikon and I both have alibis.
You two have alibis?
Up until I saw that hanging video, Mikon and I were actually together.
Oh, okay, sorry. Now it's clear to me what they were saying. The reason they phrased it weird again, but what they were saying was an alibi for the time of the morning announcement. So the reason it's Mikon's account is because these two don't mention the time of the morning announcement at all. That makes enough sense. But I didn't understand when she was saying nobody has an alibi. I was like, what do you mean nobody has an alibi? For when?
We even woke up together that morning.
Hey, what kind of situation is that?
Not relevant.
I accidentally fell asleep on top of Hajime.
I am decreasingly becoming sure it was an accident.
Too much info.
Which is
Yeah,
very,
it's not
very
like
creepy.
that. She just came to tell me Nagato's condition had improved.
And we went to the hospital together afterward. So we were together until right before the announcement.
Oh, right, sorry. She woke up on his in his cottage. I was mixing it with the previous time where she fell asleep on top of him in the hospital.
I get it. You guys have alibis.
We do! And that is all the time we have for this episode also! Some weird turns. I don't understand what they're saying. I was like, I was so twisty and turny. I was like, okay, when they first, when we were in the investigation sequence, and they brought up the wallpaper and the torn fragment, I was like, oh, I bet what that is they covered Hyoko's body with wallpaper so we couldn't see it. And then I was like, well, no, that would never work, because there would be a huge chunky lump in the middle. And so I put it out of my mind, and then they brought it up again, and I was like, I bet that's what it is. And I was like, no, that doesn't make sense. And then they started explaining it, and that's actually what happened. Someone brought this like 20-foot roll of wallpaper, hung it from the baton lighting, which apparently just means stood it up inside that like 5-centimeter gap between the baton lighting and the pillar, and unrolled it all the way around it, and then put stickers all the way from the top to the bottom of it to keep it there, and then tore that all down really quickly after. Oh, actually, you know what? Thinking about it again, I suppose if the wallpaper, the whole wallpaper thing happened, that could have happened any time at night, you know, now that I think about it. It's not like they only had 10 minutes to do that. The thing they had 10 minutes to do was tear it down. Putting it up, yeah, I guess. That if you had like an hour to do that, you could probably manage it. That's a little less outlandish than I was thinking. I was mixing up when they would have had to put it up. I still think it would have been difficult to tear it down in like 10 minutes, but I guess that's why the scrap was left. Anyway, that was a little weird. It's not the most outrageous thing this game has claimed, but it's a bit hard to believe one person pulling that off by themselves, especially under pressure and at a tight time limit. Nevertheless, that is all for now. Next video on the channel is going to be some more Okami, and thank you so very much for coming around. Hopefully I'll see you around. I'm going to be out of here now. Peace! Shield brush powers. Brush powers. Not brush powers. Nope, that hasn't been added as a quest for us here. It's good old lever propel. Lever for propel, level for propel. Take retreat, carry Sacred tree, cherry cascade. Man, it's good.